Well, it was only a few months ago we were in the Isle of Man doing this conference with Ralph Peake about the renewables and that sort of thing. Had people from all around the world taking part, including some people from the Faroe Islands. And here we are, behind us here, in the Faroes, which is, on a summer's day, like a winter's day in the Isle of Man, let's face it. But wow, have they got wind here?
They have, they actually have. I mean, sunshine as well today, it really is nice, but you're right, there's wind like we've not seen on the island, I must admit.
Well, the reason we're here is because another conference has been going on. You've been invited here along with Dave Quirk, and it's been fascinating as an onlooker to see how developed they've become here, because they were so locked into diesel and therefore expensive fuel. They have no interconnectors. It's them on their own here over all these different islands, and they took this massive decision to go green some years ago, and it's obviously paying off dividends now, hence showing other people what they're up to.
You're right, and this conference really has underlined that. SEV, which is the local generator and provider of electricity, made a commitment in 2014 to be 100% renewable electricity by 2030, and they're on that path, and it's great to see these installations. They've got hydro turbo, and they've got wind farms, solar PV, storage, batteries, and they really are smaller to start with, but they're actually seeing how it works, seeing how it actually delivers, and the public are right behind it.
So we'll be running out the interviews probably over the next few weeks with various people we've been talking to here, because it's an inspirational story because of where the Isle of Man is still at. You know, we haven't started the journey really at all.
That's right, and that's what we're trying to do. The Energy and Sustainability Centre is trying to do that. We're trying to help people understand that the future can be 100% renewable and reduce that fear, because it's not about more expensive energy, it's actually about energy we can afford. We are absolutely convinced we can deliver this on the Isle of Man and have energy generated on the Isle of Man and actually have it for all the residents of the Isle of Man at a price that we can afford.
And you know, like everything, we've had this massive shock with the energy spikes, which has honed everyone's attention, I suppose, to it. And if you've got the equipment here, you're not maybe laughing about it, but you're certainly in a better position, aren't you, that you've got more control over how your energy costs are going.
Yeah, absolutely right. And the Faroe Islands have actually reduced their import of oil, and that's a great testament to what they've actually done here now. So they're now generating their own energy and using it here on the island, and that's something the Isle of Man can do. Buying our electricity from the UK puts us at the beck and call really of what that price will be in the UK, and that could really be fluctuating prices again, where if we actually generate our own and use it on the island, we can then have it at a cost that we can afford.
Well, I found it very exciting just watching it, as a layperson. Almost like you'd hope the Isle of Man government and the people in power would look at this sort of model maybe, and they do bring in people from all over the world to have a look at what they've been doing here in the Faroes.
They absolutely do. It'd be a great idea to actually get some other people from the Isle of Man to come here to the Faroes and see it. And you're right about the other papers that we've seen, the presentations we've seen. You know, people from Indonesia, they've actually got the wind turbines up in Indonesia already, and here on the island, Isle of Man, we're still lagging behind. So I hope we can really get our act together and get on this now.
I guess one of the most interesting things for me has been watching the man in charge of the whole operation. They laid down these commitments. He was an oil man. He got into this, but to take the islanders with them, because it is that sort of thing. You've got to be on a journey together, otherwise you'll never start, I guess. You're
absolutely right. When he made that commitment, he could see that vision clear to him, and he said it was a 5-year journey to really get the public on board. Now we've already got our Climate Change Act in place, so let's now get behind this. Let's believe that we can actually get this for the Isle of Man, our own renewable energy.
Well, storage is always the issue. I mean, the wind doesn't always blow, though sometimes the wind's actually so strong I think they stop the turbines. That's another thing, but it's storing energy, and would that be involving like pumping water uphill and having some sort of lakes and reservoirs?
Yes, you're right. There is curtailment. If you haven't got enough storage, then you have to when it's blowing a lot of wind, you have to sometimes curtail the wind turbines. So the best way of doing it is having that extra energy, that surplus energy, and actually storing it for the days when you haven't got that wind. And that's what we could do on the Isle of Man. There's a number of ways. There could be small battery systems, large battery systems, or it could be storage systems, which can be pumped hydro, where you just drive that water uphill to a second reservoir and then let it go down that pipe, drive that turbine when you want to release that storage.
Well, the Isle of Man has a commitment to going green. I mean, as far as I'm aware, that went through some time ago, and yet no signs of any activity yet. So how long do you think it could even be before the Isle of Man sees any sort of wind turbines, either onshore or offshore?
Well, to be fair, the MUA have now come out and are now looking at producing 30 megawatts of renewable energy. So that's really the start of it now. So it's great to see the MUA on board now with that, and let's hope that they can really deliver that and learn from it and really allow others to join in. I think that's what we need to see, is private investment coming in for this infrastructure that then the local people can benefit from it.
And maybe take a trip here to the Faroes.
That would be a good starting place, it really would.